All right, guys, we are finishing up with the last of our notes today. We have 5 and 6 left, and that is it. So Arthur Miller was born in New York City in 1915. And one of the really interesting facts is he was actually married to Miss Marilyn Monroe. He wrote The Crucible. Okay, we're underlining it because it's the title of a play. In 1953, he found parallels to the Red Hunt being conducted in the 1950s in Washington, D.C. by Senator Joseph McCarthy. This is one of the most hated names in history now, is McCarthyism, and this concept that he pushed this forward. Miller was later accused of being a communist. Now, this was during the time that the United States greatly feared Russia and Asia, specifically China, because they were both communist countries and they had such big populations and land masses that there was a fear that communism would take over here in the United States. And because of that, everyone was running fearful of these two areas. And so to be accused of being a communist was this terrible, terrible thing. It was equivalent of saying that you were a traitor, that you were treasonous. Now, we notice that things have improved since then. However, we still are fearful of Russia. We still talk about Russia interfering in American politics. It was not successful. The Crucible was not successful in its first production. Miller's most produced plays was The Crucible. He did write other plays which were very well received, such as The Death of a Salesman. Okay, continuing. Miller received many awards, which included 2 New York Drama Critics Circles, 2 Emmys, 3 Tonys, and a Tony Award for Lifetime Achievement. Now we're going to talk more specifically about Joseph McCarthy and how he did these ties were put together between the witch hunts of 1690s and the Red Hunt or Red Scare of the 1950s, which Arthur Miller saw a parallel between. So first we're going to have Joseph McCarthy. He was a senator from Wisconsin. And he was seen as one of the most controversial figures in American politics. Essentially, in many ways, he was one of the most hated individuals because of his role. He accused that there were communists and that they have infiltrated the U.S. government. Okay, think about it now. We've talked about communists and Russians infiltrating American politics. That's still happening today. There is still an intense fear going on of Russia and China infiltrating and taking over our own politics here. Made accusation that there were spies in the U.S. State Department. Now remember that spying is considered an act of treason. Okay, an act of treason is one of the things in the United States that the death penalty is a given for. You are executed for treasonous acts most of the time. And with that being said, what exactly does it mean to be treasonous, is anything that is considered to be specifically a secret, that it is to, that if you pass it along to other countries, that is considered a treasonous act. The accusations were made, okay, evidence of treason. However, this was never proven. He ruined other politicians. He ruined other professionals such as actors, writers, and reporters. They were blacklisted. Now, what it meant to be blacklisted is your name would literally be put on this list. And if you were put on this list, you could show up to, if you were an actor, you could show up to an audition and they would tell you, sorry, that role's already been filled, because your name was on this list and you were one of the groups that they could not hire from. Same thing with a writer or a reporter. So these individuals, their entire careers would be taken away from them. Now, the interesting thing about it is it could be a very loose tie, okay? Such as you might have a neighbor, okay? And this neighbor was from Russia. And every day, once a week, you would go and you would put your trash cans out around the same time, and you were seen speaking together over putting out your trash cans. That simple act that somebody else saw, maybe on your block, could say, oh, he's Russian and he's a communist. Because he's a communist, that person must be too. So this is how Arthur Miller tied the witch trials to the hunt for communism, and specifically communists in society. Remember all about this evidence, okay? In 1692, all the evidence had to be was someone claiming that you were a witch, claiming that you were, that you had sympathies towards the devil, and that was enough. Same thing, similar thing going on here. Someone could claim that you had communist ties and you didn't necessarily have it. Now, we want to remember that this is a comparison between 1692 all the way to 1950s, okay? This seems like a huge jump, but we can see this, and we hear tales of someone saying that this is a witch hunt, okay? This is the concept, is you're trying to look for something and you have a reason to be scared of it. Because it's the unknown in a way. But a lot of the times that the things that were pushing these forward were personal jealousies. They had nothing to do with actual witchcraft or actual communists. And that is part of the parallelism between these two. Please go through and make sure you have all your notes done. Please study them. Check with a partner. Make sure you have everything filled in, because you are going to have a quiz on this material.